you had to, for 6 months, do group therapy with like a nurse, whoever else in there with you for 6 months rotation. And when they came over, you could just ask them questions, bounce stuff off. It was fantastic. Then I decided that since I was getting near the end of my quote career, kind of, I went down to Truman Medical Center. Okay. I know, do you guys still get interns there?
We haven't had any in a couple of years, but we still send people there.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a good place to go for your internship. It's a really good place to go. They get a lot from Northwest Missouri State. So I ended up there. This was an outpatient. So all the rest before that was inpatient, right? So I was the first ever recreational therapist they ever had an outpatient program. That was probably because I knew a lot of people that I used to work with there. They created a position for that. And since I got that position, they have lots of RTs. So we had at one time, right before I left, we had 3 other RTs from Northwest Missouri States, and one that took my place actually was from Northwest. So they have a lot of RTs on inpatient. So that is where we started all of this, which we're going to get into. So that's my little history right there.
And just as a side note, I had them read your articles as well too.
Oh,
So they're up
good.
to date with what's, yeah.
Thank you for reading.
So my name is Michael-Ray Pallares. I live in Tankel, Florida. I got a scholarship to play on the tennis team at the University of Alabama. I studied international marketing. When I graduated, I went on tour. So I played on the ATP tour for 10 years. Played Davis Cup in the Dominican Republic. I traveled to maybe, I think, over 100 countries. And towards the end of my playing career, I started coaching and working with players on tour. So I traveled with several top 10 players. We went to all the Grand Slams, which are the biggest events for tennis. And then I started working with the International Tennis Federation. So there's a project called the Development of the National Sports Structure. They send me to a developing nation to set up the infrastructure at the national level. Everything from coach education, high performance training, improvement of facilities or participation, whatever the country may need. And after a 6-month stay in the country, I'd leave and the national coaches would continue with the system that I put in place. So I did a project in Panama, one in Turkmenistan, another one on Guam, and several others with the International Tennis Federation and Olympic Solidarity. I also certify coaches for the Union of Professional Tennis. So I teach coaches how to properly train players, everything from 10 and under tennis to strength and conditioning for tennis, high performance, and several adaptive tennis modules as well. I also created a foundation called One Love Tennis. And so what I do with that is I set up play days for children that are at risk or living in orphanages throughout the world. So they can come out, have a nice day of tennis. I give them prizes. I try to fundraise. I give them shoes, rackets, nets, balls, whatever they need. Try to fundraise to improve the facilities. And I also teach the teachers and coaches how to maintain the program, keep them involved in the sport. So I feel like that's been probably one of the things that has given me most joy in tennis. And partly that's how we met. We'll talk about that later, but that's basically a little background on myself.
My name is Leo Vega. I recently graduated from St. Leo University in Tampa, Florida. I've been coaching for about 8 years now at various country clubs, tennis academies, you name it. I've probably coached there. I just finished up coaching at a country club in Washington, D.C. And in January, I will start my journey as a professional tennis player with Michael as my coach. And yeah, just happy to be here.
I want to just add one other thing. So also I was the national co-chair for behavioral health for the Recreation Association. That's where I met Laura at a lot of conferences, a lot of professors, which really was a wonderful thing. Just suggestion, anybody been to any conferences? Yeah. If you haven't been, they're great to go to. And if you go, don't stay with all the people that you know. You need to get out and meet everybody. You will not believe the stuff that you can find out. Recreational therapists are willing to share all the wonderful things they do. And you will meet great people and you will have relationships for life, and it is really worth going to this thing. The other thing, before we get into, we have Katie do her thing. What we're doing here today, this took 2 years to get to this point. 2 years. This didn't just happen. So you got to see the culmination of this. It's going to get bigger. So let's hear it from Katie. Ready?
Yes. Hi, my name is Katie Brewer. I am the program manager of Synergy Services Street Outreach Team and Youth Resiliency Center. We are an agency in Kansas City. We have many campuses, but today I'm primarily going to talk about the youth campus, but just know that we do work in domestic violence, and we work with kids and adults as well. But I'm housed on the youth campus, and on that campus, we have a 30-day crisis shelter where youth can come if they've run away from home, they've been kicked out of home, or if they're homeless by for other reasons. We have a transitional living program, which offers housing, longer-term housing for youth that are able to maintain housing. And then we have a maternity group home for parenting teens. And we have a youth resiliency center, and that's a community center open from 2:30 until 6:30 every day. It serves as a drop-in center for homeless youth to have basic needs met, to do their laundry, to take a shower, to take a nap. But we also offer a lot of programming. We have a wonderful art studio, gym, we have a computer lab area, we have a music studio where we can record. And we also just offer spaces for lounging and playing video games and that kind of stuff. And the whole idea is to have a safe place for youth to go after school, but also to teach skills and help youth find passions. And so in this tennis program, we've partnered to bring tennis to the center. Yeah, is there anything else you'd like me to say about that?
No.
All right, awesome.
Thank you, Katie. All right, so now I'm going to give you guys, can I use that?
Yep.
Back there. Stuff that I'm going to put up there has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm going to talk about. Okay. These are just some little things.
You're gonna have the contrast of this just because like.
Will they be able to see it? What I write it?
Oh, they'll be able to see,
Oh.
yeah.
So there's just some things that I'm going to write up there that after doing this for 42 years that I've learned. You can take it or leave it. The first thing is, you know what I'm going to say. So you know how they always say you need to think outside of the box? No. There is no box. It's unlimited what you can do. And hopefully today, when you leave, you'll be a little inspired, a little more motivated or whatever, but there is no box. I mean, if there'd been a box, we would have been able to do this without doubt. Isn't this fun? That's a big one. Everything you do is a choice. Every single thing you do is a choice. You had a choice whether you came here today or not. Thanks for choosing to come, right? Okay. Obviously, this is mostly self-explanatory. Good one. Make sense? Yeah, okay.
And Zoomers, as an FYI, it says, be curious, not judgmental,
Very good.
is what Ron just wrote.
Correct. Right? Yeah, and then this is a big one, which we're just gonna leave up here. This will happen later.
He also wrote, try to learn something new every day.
And then we have a number, 168. Anybody have any clue what that would mean? The answer should be no. Okay, all right, we will get back to that. That is gonna come up. All right, so I'm gonna go sit down. Here's the history of this whole thing. So when I left Johnny Mission Medical Center, took a leap of faith after supervising all that stuff for however many years it was at Shawnee Mission Medical Center. I wanted to end my career in this, doing something that I really liked. And I wanted to get back, although I had 50% of my time was client contact at the other place, I wanted 100% of my time to client contact to end it. So I went down to Truman for the outpatient program, being their first recreational therapist they had, and decided that if they would allow me to create a physical wellness program there. They had nothing at all. They basically told me they thought that probably would not work, which is exactly what I wanted to hear, because if there's a challenge, that is exactly what I want, because it was going to happen, no matter what, or I was going to die trying. But I didn't die. So anyway, we got this started at Shawnee Mission. Like I said, the clients were a little higher, level, and so I started trying to do groups and talk about all the benefits of all this stuff. Did not work at all. So I decided, we're just going to have to actually do stuff while we're in the group and see if that works. And it works. We're talking about clients, 65% of the clients at Truman that we work with in the outpatient, they're all group homes. Some live in their own apartments, some work, 65% were schizophrenic. Okay. That's a lot. Or schizoaffective. Obviously, there's a difference. I'm not going to sit here and try to explain to you what it is. That would be somebody like a doctor. Or you guys may know. There is a difference. So, and we had obviously other diagnoses as well, but it was mostly schizophrenic. And we started doing stuff, and I belong to the Jewish Community Center in Kansas City. I'm there still 7 days a week, taking Pilates, yoga, all this other stuff, every class you could possibly imagine, tennis, pickleball, the whole thing. So what I did was, from those classes that I take, basically highly modified all those classes for these folks. They'd never done this. They'd never heard of this stuff, right? So I also got like instructors from there to come down that I'd known to demonstrate things, do groups with these guys as well. Worked with the physical therapy department there. They had them come over, and they would help with, like, you got to make sure, because everybody's at a different level, right? If you have 30 people in the group, they're obviously not going to be at the same level for whatever, functioning, physical functioning, all that stuff. So they came over for 3 months, twice a year, the PT department, to work with the group of people that really need to improve their level of functioning, right? So we had something for everybody, right? Higher level, medium, a little less than medium. So that went on for a while, and it started catching on. You get one client in there that like it, then they all started liking it. And they started seeing the benefits. Now remember, diabetes, hypertension, every possible thing, obesity, everything you can imagine, doing Pilates, folks, doing yoga, doing tennis, which we'll get to, all this stuff, and they saw that people were losing weight, which was unbelievable, because most of their medications that these guys take add weight, right? So, and they're on every medication for mental health stuff, for their physical stuff, didn't matter. And once, like, one of the folks in the group would catch on, then they would all go for it. And what we ended up doing after several months was, some of the folks in there, I had them start leading the groups. That was a big, big key. And they would respond to them better than to me, because they saw what was going on with them, right? So that kind of helped it take off. And then what happened was, they had a citywide walking contest. They decided to organize. It was ourselves and 7 or 8 other organizations, but we were the only organization that had recreational therapists. We were it. So these guys were already in shape, or much better shape than they started, right? So the name of this was 10 million steps. You guys read the article, right? Saw that, and it was unbelievable. We got 12 million, it's supposed to be 10 million steps for all 8 agencies. We got 12 million steps, just our clients. 25 clients, 3 months, they got pedometers that were incredible. And I made sure that they kept them. I was not gonna be accountable. They had to keep it. And let me tell you, for those guys not to lose something in 3 months is probably the best part of the whole thing. Nobody lost one. We did have a guy accidentally wash his, so that was good, but he never lost it. You could not replace anybody if, you know, they dropped out or whatever. We had 2 people get discharged out of the 25. So basically 100% followed through on those 3 months. Follow through for a mental health plan is incredible. That's a big deal. And there was TV coverage and all that stuff. We got shirts. I think our slogan was don't sit, get fit. We went and got shoes for everybody. You know, that was part of the deal. They got walking shoes or whatever and went to Kohl's. Our CEO had about, I think it cost $500. I think we had $400 worth of coupons. She did a very good job with that. And by the way, I'm just going to interject this. Our CEO, who's over all the doctors, the entire outpatient program for behavioral health, was a former RT. We have a lot of former RTs that are way high up in the administration down the truth. So that's another benefit. So anyway, so we won. And then everybody, oh my God, it's the greatest thing. Physical wellness, da, 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 da. So that kind of helped with that. And then 5 years later, they did that same thing again, the walking contest. And well, we won again. And this is not a joke. You got to, when you work with clients, you got to meet them where they're at, right? We had one guy, he really couldn't go to groups too much because he paced all the time. I went and found him and said, look, you are going to be all-star. This is for you. You're going to be unbelievable. And I am not making this up, folks. This guy said, okay, I'll do it. I said, thanks. In 3 months, this is one guy, 2.3 million steps in 3 months. And I sat down and figured out it's like 33,000 steps a day, okay, right? He got first place for everything. He got prizes for everything. On TV, it was like the whole thing was unbelievable. Anyway, and it's all because they had an RT there, right? So that was fun. And then I thought, you know, now again, we had to get medical releases, which they didn't have there. We had to do all this stuff. We had to redo them annually, make sure that they were fine to be in the program and all that stuff. And then there was a small little article in the Kansas City Star, and Michael's name was in there, and I thought, well, you know, what the heck. I will email him and see if he responds. And he did. And we had started a tennis program there, myself and an occupational therapist, Debbie Pallares. See, I remember her name. Okay. This time. And we started this tennis program. Of course, it's already been built up, right? We started out at one park close to Truman, and they only had one court there, and we had 15 people. So we found another park, and it had, I think, 4 courts in the backboard because it's so big. Anyway, so we had the tennis program going, and I got in touch with Michael. And Michael came down 2 years in a row and did some clinics with these guys. We had a gym that we used for, you know, whether it's bad or winter and stuff like that. And that's the history. So this all got built up from that to where we are now.
Yeah.
It's you.
So when I went to Kansas City, I did an activity with my foundation with the Salvation Army Children's Shelter there. And it was a nice activity. It was a play day for a group of 10, 15 kids. We gave them some gifts, prizes, nets, rackets, balls. And they wrote a small article in the Kansas City Star. And I get this email from Ron. And it's, you know, he kind of sent me a link to what he was doing on a couple articles and the tennis program over at Truman Medical Center. And he asked, well, you know, can you share maybe some drills or activities with the group? And, you know, this is coming from someone that I had no experience in with behavioral health or anything like that. I said, well, sure, I can try. You know, it sounds very interesting what you're doing there. You know, I had done some work with adaptive tennis. You know, you have wheelchair tennis. I had done work with blind tennis where they put a bell in the ball. I had done work with the Special Olympic team in Abu Dhabi, so a lot of modified things. So I figured maybe some of the experience I had with that, with the adaptive tennis part of tennis, I can maybe share with them and see how it goes. And I remember the first day I went up to Truman Medical Center. I was getting a tour of the facility, and I was meeting, the staff, and the group was waiting for me in the cafeteria. And I was kind of introducing myself, one by one to everybody. It was a group of maybe, 8 to 10 clients. And I go up to one guy and I kind of stick my hand out. I was like, hey, my name's Michael-Ray, nice to meet you. He just like stares at me for 5-10 seconds. And so, I'm like, okay, like, what am I supposed to do? And he kind of just said, oh, hello. I'm like, hey, hello. I'm thinking, okay. And, Ron says, oh, don't worry, and he kind of explains to me what schizophrenia is and how it works. And, I think he said something along the lines of, oh, if you ask him who the 15th vice president was in the United States, you'll know it, or something along those lines. And I said, okay, well, this is going to be interesting. And so on the walk to the tennis area, you can tell, like, something, they're a little off, and so I have no experience, and I'm kind of like, okay, I wonder what's going to happen when we get there. And so the first thing I said to them was like, all right, guys, look, I want you to grab a partner. We're going to be in pairs. We're going to rally for 10 minutes, okay? At the 10 minutes, whoever makes the most rallies in a row is going to win the game. You guys ready? All right, go. And like at that moment, you could see they locked in and they started rallying. And they were all focused, like no funny games. They were right there. They wanted to, keep the ball in play. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. If someone walked by at this one moment, just kind of looked over, they'd be like, oh, there's some adult clinic going on, and wouldn't think anything of it. And so Ron explained to me, like, they're all, a lot of them are on medication. They're actually hearing voices while they're playing and all these sort of things. But you can tell how tennis was really helping them to increase their focus and concentration and many other things. And so, little by little, we always kept in touch. I came back another time. And we thought, well, what a great tool tennis is to treat behavioral health issues. It would be fantastic to sort of be able to build upon the program that, he put in place and a lot of the drills and activities that we've come up with. And that's sort of how we got in touch then with the USTA, which is the United States Tennis Association, and they're really backing this project. And so we've worked on this to create this program.
So we got, just to interject, we got grants from USDA, which is a big deal. We got one from their education department and diversity inclusion, which is more important. And then synergy is attached. This is just a start.
Exactly. And so they're really funding this because they want to make sure, they push on two things: the parks and rec, to try to get people to come out and play, because you could play at a park for free. And the health benefits of tennis had to be physical or mental health. And so based off of this, what we're trying to do is slowly also gather statistics and data so that all the information that we gather from this program right now, we can create a coaching module to certify tennis coaches. So every tennis coach who gets certified in the United States has to go through an adaptive tennis portion. And within that adaptive tennis, you have obviously wheelchair tennis and other sort of modified forms. And it'll include the behavioral health tennis module, which we're going to be creating off of this pilot program.
This is the first time they've had anything for behavioral health for USDA. And the timing couldn't be better, obviously, with Naomi Osaka, Biles, all I mean, it's just,
Yeah, and with the COVID and everything else.
Right.
So we created a survey that we had the kids fill out beforehand, and then towards the end of the program, they fill it out afterwards to see if there's improvement in certain aspects of what we call 8 steps for success. So we'll go over the 8 steps that we came up with, and this is the pre-test that we came up with here. So I'll go through the 10 questions that we asked. And we try to keep it simple because we could go through a 5-point scale, but we figured a yes or no answer is more simple for the kids, which range between the ages of, I think, 12 or 13 was the youngest to 18,
Hold on,
Yeah,
just
go ahead.
1 second. So you guys got to be out of here by 9:50. So we're going to go till about 9:40. So if there's any questions or something. So
Perfect. So the 10 questions we gave them on the survey were: I often feel isolated. I sometimes feel that my accomplishments are not meaningful. I have difficulty expressing myself appropriately. I often feel critical of myself. I have few activities that give me joy. I have difficulty interacting with others in a group setting. I am often not physically active. I have difficulty managing and structuring my time. I'm frequently unmotivated, and I have difficulty maintaining concentration. So simple yes or no to those questions. And then towards the end of the program, we give them the same survey, but basically it's after playing tennis at the YRC tennis program, do you feel that you often feel isolated, et cetera, et cetera, and we see if there's been a change in that due to the tennis program. So that's sort of how we came up with that. So I'm gonna write down the 8 steps to success. And so basically a lot of these points that we're gonna go over, we try to figure out tennis drills and activities that would focus in on this particular aspect that we're trying to work on.
Just leave the 168.
Yeah.
Don't touch the
Rest you don't
number.
touch, that's why it's sorry. Choose.
All right. All right, so we'll go one by one. All right, so the first one we figured was very important was time management, okay? So it's very important for, the clients or the students to be able to set their own schedule, right? And so, obviously, they now know from 3:30 to 4:30 is the program. So they gotta be able to, set their day up accordingly, to be there on time. They know that's the time slot that the tennis is being done at. And also afterwards, they're gonna get back and do their other activities. So this is very important.
Yeah, so anybody that's done any wellness coaching, or if you haven't, the most important thing with wellness coaching. So it's not just saying that this is for anything. That you're gonna play tennis, that's the start. First, you gotta think about it, right? You gotta visualize it. Then you say, I'm gonna play tennis, but wellness coaching will teach you, and there's all kinds of research on this. You have to say what time you're gonna be there, where it's gonna be, how you're gonna get there. That makes the person proven with the research much more accountable, and it does. Just say, I'm gonna go play tennis, that's that's a start, but it's a little vague. So the more specific you are, the more success you're gonna have with whatever it is, okay?
Yeah, so now they know what they need to do, and then the second step is following through, which you touched upon, which is huge.
Which is, especially for mental health clients, that is a huge, that following through is a big problem.
And then we got,
Okay,
This
so
one
this
here.
is my favorite thing. So all the groups I used to teach, there's all kinds of things that you can get, like how to do these classes, how to do this. I made up all my own. So this is my favorite thing. I want you to think of it. Now, we're doing time management, right? Anybody know what the 168 is? It's all about time. Okay. Every week, you have 24 hours times 7, right? 168 hours. I don't know if that sounds like a lot, little, or what, but that is your gift every single week to do whatever you want. Make the most of it. There you go. Okay.
second point we came across is motivation. So a lot of these students, or clients, they need to feel, there's 2 different ways to be motivated, intrinsic and extrinsic. So the best one is intrinsic, which comes from yourself. Extrinsic is the outside motivation. So there's a lot of role modeling that's involved in that. Surrounding the students with motivated, students is going to help as well. So you have a student maybe that's unmotivated, and you have a group of 8 or 9 motivated students. They're going to get motivated because they want to be a part of the group. So those are very important points. Also, goal setting. We'll set them up with different tasks. So they want to achieve a certain goal, as well as maybe setting up like a mini tournament or things like that, where they know they're practicing for this tournament that's coming up. So these are all ways that we can sort of motivate the group. to come out and play. A lot of these things also are intertwined, the ones that we're going to come across. So motivation could be intertwined with time management, which can, correlate with something else as well. Third point. Socialization. So this one's very important. I don't want to come out there and sort of, feed balls and say, oh, forehand, backhand, volleys, this, that, and the other. I want them to learn how to play tennis, but through a game aspect. So for them, they're just coming out and having fun. They're with their group, they're playing games, but at the same time, they're learning how to play the game, right? So that's the best way to get kids to come out. We want them not only to come out the first time, but we want to retain them. We want them to keep coming out the second time. We've done the program for a couple of days now. The students that came the first day, they've come out the second day, and they brought their friends. I'm sure they're going to come back with their friends on Monday, and they're going to bring more. And by the end of the program, we expect to have a very large group.
And they were already much more animated or active. We've had, in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And there's a lot of games that we can do. There's a game called Around the World where they hit a ball and they run across to the other side. They're all, with their group. There's this game which is offense defense. It's played with a teammate. So you're playing doubles and you got to win 3 points to go to the other side, and et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of ways to do tennis activities where they're learning how to play, but through games. So that's very important for the socialization aspect. And within socialization and games, they're developing their skills. So skill development, right? So we have a wall, which has been a great tool. We have them do activities with the modified nets, and they're hitting the ball and playing with their friends. We go to the wall and we say, okay, we're gonna go for 10 minutes on the wall. At the end of the 10 minutes, I wanna know who made the most shots in a row without a mistake. So they're developing their skills. They're trying to keep the ball in play. They're rallying. But to them, again, it's through games. They're learning how to hit the forehand, the backhand, the serve, the volleys, and all the direction. Instead of hitting it down the line, they're hitting it across. A lot of these things they're learning, so they're developing their skills. Physical activity. So the first couple of days we have them come out, we measure where they are physically. So we do some tests, not only with the skill development, tennis-wise, but also physically. And so, it can be many different things. A dynamic warm-up, we get them going, because a lot of these kids, they really haven't done much physical activity before. So we don't want them to just rush in and hurt themselves. We want to sort of ease them into it and have them all feel comfortable, with where they are. And so you can come up and we're gonna go ahead and give some examples.
So with stretching, there's two types of stretching. There's dynamic warm-up, dynamic stretching, and static stretching. Dynamic stretching is movement. Static stretching is kind of stationary. So kind of the reach down, touch your toes kind of thing where everyone associates your stretching. You kind of do that after you play, kind of a cool down. Dynamic stretching is more about warming up your muscles, because a lot of times when you don't warm up, that's how you get injured. So mainly there's loads of them, but we kind of have a set system when we do it. One of the examples we do is high knees, kind of pumping arms. Hands, legs up as fast as high as you can. They can do that. Another one we can do is butt kicks. And if you guys are any of you guys familiar with tennis court, it's a double sideline, 2 far lines on the side of the course. We kind of use that as a dimension. And we make it as a kind of fun aspect. I'll be in there with them, and they kind of keep at my pace, keep making sure they're doing it the right way, but it's still in a good, encouraging way. And then with the physical aspect, when we do the tests, we can do sprints, kind of a relay race, kind of with them, or make it a little fun, do a little teamwork. And then what we do is, like, if you're familiar with tennis court, it's a service box. When you stand in the middle, you can do like side shoulder, touch it, side shoulder, touch it, and then we kind of do several rounds of it. So the first round we'll do 10 seconds. See, let's say you do 5. Okay, the prize person did 5. Okay, so let's do it again and see if we can do a better job the next round. So then you do the next round, and most of the time they always do better in the first time, and this leads to our next kind of.
That's an important point, because if I just had the kids come out and be like, all right, so 10 seconds, you gotta touch the sidelines as many times as you can. And then they do it, and all right, we're gonna go again. They're gonna look at it almost as a punishment, or, you know, I don't wanna do this, this is tiring. But if I say, okay, guys, look, we wanna do this. All right, how many did you get? 6, 5, 6, 4, all right. So we're gonna try again, let's see if you can beat your time. You guys ready? And then now they're doing it harder because they wanna get 7 or 5 or, you know, a couple more. And for them, it's like a challenge or a game. So they're not looking at it, oh, I gotta get tired and do this. We're doing everything in sort of a fun way, so that way they look at it as a game. And then as far as like stretching and things like that as well, we wanna see where they're at, flexibility wise, fitness wise, tennis wise. And again, we want it to be fun and we want them to try their best. So can we have a volunteer,
Yeah, we
anybody?
need fun.
Student,
Folks,
student
yes.
volunteer.
This is the interactive part of this today, folks.
Thank you.
Let me get 2 volunteers.
One more
Who's the
student.
other? Okay.
Julia, all right.
Fantastic. So for like a static stretching, you know, it could be something as simple as this. So let's go left over right. Yeah, that's fine. And down. So she's quite flexible. Which is good. Fantastic. So she's able to touch the ground. But you'd be surprised. Yeah, exactly. You'd be surprised how many kids, they go like this and they just get there, you know? And so, you know, we measure, okay, so this is as far as you got week 1. We do the training throughout the 8 weeks, and hopefully maybe by the end, they're possibly touching their shoelaces, right? So that's one way to sort of measure their progress. Okay, come over on this side. Here's another one. So let's go right here. If you want, turn around so they can see. And now we're gonna try to hook our hand underneath and see if you can do that. So she got it and she got it. Okay, so now let's go other side, left. And then let's see if we can go here. See, it's a little bit more difficult. She's got it. So then she has, let's see, tip of her fingers. So we measure the progress on their flexibility there as well. Okay, so those are examples of how something that, you know, I don't want to stretch, like this is boring, but they're looking at it, oh, I want to try to reach, you know, I'm almost there. Things like that. Does that make sense? Thank you very much.
Let's get through the next
Yeah.
3 and do a little drill, maybe 1 or, because we want to have 10 questions. We have
Perfect.
5 more minutes.
So all of these sort of things, as I mentioned earlier, are intertwined. Everything touches upon their self-esteem, right? So ongoing results, this is an ongoing process. This is not something that's an overnight thing. And so, you know, they can see how slowly but surely they're getting better. That's going to help their
Yeah.
self-esteem.
Let me interject this.
Go ahead.
Did we mention that this is an 8-week program? Okay, this is an 8-week program, 2 days a week, okay? And we've already got, you know, since we just started here in October, that obviously the weather is going to be getting colder. So we've got use of their gym, which we're probably going to do 1 of the 2 days, not only because of the weather possibility, but also that's where they drop off all the kids. There's going to be other kids that are going to be hearing what's going on at the gym, and that's going to help build it. Plus, through Michael's connection, we have the last couple of weeks in November, the first week of December, we have an indoor tennis facility that's right by there. So we get to use indoor tennis courts, which is going to be great. And hopefully, at some point, if they really get into it, maybe they get some memberships down there, like group memberships.
Here we got focus and concentrations. So we developed a few exercises that are directly for focus and concentration. So if we could get two volunteers, two different volunteers, come on up.
Come on, folks.
All right.
So this would be
Fantastic.
Zoe and Hannah, is that right? Did I get it? Really? Wow. That's pretty good.
I'll take a small
All right.
There you go.
Yeah, and notice that they have, so the little ones are for like a certain age group, and then they have for older kids, and then for adults, which we don't have. Yeah. Well, this is gonna be good. You know what? I think I'm gonna move. Just in case.
Come on, you gotta.
Don't hit it hard.
All right, so first of all, we'll start out bracket level, outside. Nice and easy, there we go.
Very good.
Unbelievable. Now, this is not a joke. The first day, the one kid, 350 times, he did this. Now, he wasn't in the same spot that he started, when he did it. I mean, he was going all over, like, we got 2 courts reserved between the Parks and Rec. He was going all over with this. It was unbelievable. And the best part was, in between the different drills, when they were going to get the balls, to retrieve the balls back, they were doing that on the way back, and no prompting from us. They were practicing on their own right there. So that's really good.
So there we would say, okay, we'll see how many you can make in a row. And they're all trying, obviously focused and concentrating on trying to bounce it without a mistake.
All right, so next one is bounce outs. Good level.
The majority of these kids have never played tennis before. So for them to obviously move on to the next exercise, they have to have a little bit of control.
Oh, these are not your regular tennis.
So these balls are 75% less pressurized than a regular ball. So they don't bounce as high and it's easier for them to control.
So last one, we'll go, so alternate. This is a little interesting, right?
All right.
This is the
Let's
advanced
give it a go.
class.
We believe in you, ladies. You can do it.
Oh my God.
There you go.
Fantastic.
There you go.
Hannah's a tennis girl on the side. We just don't know.
Wow, look at
Actually,
that.
never played.
Oh,
Oh, you have that?
oh,
Good.
you're natural.
And so fantastic.
Good
Good,
job.
great
Show
job.
them that one other.
Yes, one more.
This will be the last.
And so, and this is, and again, everything is sort of together, so this may touch upon our last, yeah, you guys, our last one, which is team building, okay? And so now, as a team, you guys are trying, you're working, you're cooperating together to try to make as many rallies in a row as possible. So with one ball, doesn't matter, that one's fine. And so you try to rally and keep the ball in play as much as you can. Let's see.
All right, so
Let's
there you go.
give it a go.
I'll hold it at the grip. Right. There you
You
go.
want him to bounce? What do you want him to do?
Yeah,
rally.
rally.
Oh, there you go. Oh,
Whoa!
whoa. Here, again.
Let's try to see if it bounces first.
Oh,
Sorry. It's okay.
too hard. Let it bounce.
Oh.
Oh,
Here you go.
That would
One
be
more.
out.
One more time. Let it bounce first.
Okay.
Let it bounce.
let it bounce.
Okay.
Nice.
You gotta hit it softer, hit it softer.
There's not much room, but give it a try.
There you go,
There you
there
go.
you go, there, oh my God.
Fantastic.
Whoa!
So,
You gotta lift the weight.
go ahead. One more time. Let's see.
There you go, there.
Oh,
Whoa!
no.
That was a lot.
Yeah. All right, so, grab for a second. So here's the thing, so,
Yeah.
there's a thing called progression and regression. So if you see maybe they're having a little bit of trouble with the rally,
This is
you
the
can make
modification, this is the modification.
modification, you can make it a little bit simpler. So if they're having trouble,
This is good.
you can do this. Hit it. They
Yeah,
gotta
to
stop the
yourself,
ball.
and then
Exactly.
hit it over.
Here, and they're, hitting it to
So
themselves.
what we want is successful outcome. right?
Exactly, so if you
That's
see it's
what we
too
want.
difficult for them, you make it easier. Now, if you see this is too easy, then you go to the regular rally, which is what they were doing earlier.
These guys are good, aren't they?
And then not only that, then you can make it tougher where they're hitting in the air or hitting it to a specific spot on the court.
There you go.
So that's very important to also understand you can modify and progress or regress.
Okay.
All right,
Good job.
good.
Nice job, ladies.
Okay,
So question answers,
yeah, don't have much time.
give it a shot.
Questions about anything? You guys are at, did you just do 2 weeks of mental health stuff? Is that what you said?
Yep. Yep, 2 weeks of mental health. Yeah.
Does the program have a name?
Does the program have a name?
Is there a certain name to it?
Do we have a name?
Well, the tennis at the YRC.
Yeah. This program, this pilot program has tennis at the YRC, Youth Resiliency Center. or whatever it's called. So all I can, since there's no questions at this moment, you have a question?
So I love to give this question out. My students probably hear
Okay.
of asking this, but what advice would you give the students right now? As juniors, seniors,
Yeah.
what advice, or graduate students, what advice would you give them?
You need to start getting out, either doing your internships or finding out about it or volunteering somewhere, whatever you can do to get involved now. Don't wait. I'll tell you that. Because, well, if you're in this field, you're not going to have a dull day. You're not going to believe it. Obviously, I'm highly prejudiced. mental health, for lack of another way to express it, is the great equalizer. By that, I mean, you're gonna see people that very wealthy, appear to have every single thing. Well, probably they don't, or else they wouldn't be involved in the system, right? And the opposite. And get, as well, this is, I think, really important. I worked with, over the 42 years, every population, pre-adolescent, adolescent, adult, and senior. You really need to, I would suggest, try to experience each one of those, find out which your niche is, you know, and to find out if this profession is right for you. And you will know, probably not too long after you start doing it, if this is right for you. You know? And you need to find out what is your best way to cope with some of the things that you're going to see, because you're going to see everything. Whatever you think you've seen before, you're going to see something new every single day. I mean, I did it for 42 years. Every day there was something. So I would just get out and experience all those different things. I had never worked with adults until I got to my last program, and I didn't know if I was going to really like it or not, but I loved it. Now that program was unique because, again, it was outpatient. I don't know how many recreational therapists there are in outpatient programs. I really don't know. Probably not too many. So I had a really good experience with that, right? But that would be and go to conferences. Go to conferences. Got to do that stuff. You got to meet people. You just can't stay in your little area with your little group of friends because you're not. It's going to get stagnant. You're really not. So that would be my suggestions. That answer your question?
What about Michael-Ray and Leo?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing with the conferences, I've been to many conferences tennis-wise, and again, the networking is very important. You know, I never in a million years would have thought I would be doing a project like this. But for me, you know, tennis has opened many doors, and, you know, have it be through a project like this, through my foundation, through high performance coaching, or playing myself. I mean, I've been all over the world, and, you know, as far as the conferences are concerned, that's huge. You got to try to meet as many people as possible, because you never know what direction, you know, your career is going to take you. So I would definitely add to that sentiment, and again, yeah, like keeping an open mind, and, you know, all the points that he touched upon. I can imagine, you know, how fulfilling it is to do something that you're passionate about. Obviously, tennis is my passion, so it isn't a work for me. You know, it's something that I enjoy doing. Have it be tennis, you know, for this particular thing or something else, you know, it's very fulfilling. So as long as you're doing something that's fulfilling to you, I think you'll, you know, be very happy. So
For me too, like the tell from what Michael said, I'm in the beginning of my journey. I graduated college in May, and like I said, I'm just starting my professional career in January. We have a lot of things planned up, but kind of learning, you know, from just from this applies to all careers really. What goes into all aspects, especially with networking aspect. Being a professional athlete, not a lot of people really know that. Like, you have to find sponsorships, you have to be able to get people to, you know, find places to stay, like for plane tickets, renting a car. I mean, coming here and being the opportunity. I mean, I just came here to play a league with Michael as my doubles partner, and I heard about this program. They were able to let me in because of my coaching experience, and it's been actually an incredible experience. I mean, we've only done 2 classes. The first class we got 2 kids, and then the second class we got a group of 7. So it just really showed, really encouraging. And like I said, I shared his passion for tennis. I mean, I love tennis. I've been coaching since I was 16 years old. And I mean, you know, being a professional athlete and then whether coaching or being in all these kind of programs, really, like I said, I learned new things, and it's been a welcome opportunity. And I've just been humbled to be a part of this. And it's been honestly awesome. Just seeing the progress of the kids with just one day. The same kid that did 350, he did 532 the next day. So that's just, I mean, that's an incredible achievement. We had another kid that did 400, so, and it was his first day. So that just kind of really shows what tennis can really do for these kids and for different kinds of people for all life.
So Laura has my email. You got my phone number. You guys need anything at all for your careers. If you need to be hooked up with anybody, connect with anybody, call me, email me, I'll do whatever. You know, I'm retired, kind of. So I'll help you guys with whatever you need, anytime.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Your energy and your dedication. Thank you.